Before we begin, I want to remind everyone here today that the North Carolina law and UNC system policy prohibit the willful interruption, disturbance, or disruption of an official public meeting. Further, North Carolina law provides that it is a Class 2 misdemeanor for any person to refuse to leave an official meeting upon being directed to do so. Pursuant to these authorities, anyone who interrupts, disturbs, or disrupts this meeting will be asked to leave. If they do not leave when asked, they will be removed and subject to arrest. I'll now ask Secretary White to please call the roll.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Valentine, Mr. Blaine, Mr. Bryan, Dr. Jones, Mr. Kalapa, Mr. Kodis, Ms. Lloyd, Mr. Meekins, Mr. Patel, Chair Pryor,
Present.
Ms. Taylor, Mr. Turner,
Here.
and I am present. Mr. Chairman, we have a quorum.
Thank you, Secretary White. As chair of the board, I must remind all members of their duty under the State Government Ethics Act to avoid conflicts of interest and appearance of conflict of interest. If you know of any conflict or appearance of conflict with respect to any matter coming before the board today, please identify it at this time. Hearing none, we will move on to approval of the consent agenda. We have a number of items on the consent agenda for approval here. Everybody has been provided this list. Starting from the top, approval of the open and closed session minutes of the November 6, 7, 2024 meeting. Approval of the open and closed session meeting of December 12, 2024. Budget, Finance, and Infrastructure Committee, Advanced Planning, Spending Authority, New Residence Hall 1, Fetzer Hall Addition and Renovation. Designer selection for the 2025-2027 parking repairs, the 2025-2027 parking deck, elevator modernization, Keenan Lab renovation, Venable Hall, lower level upfit, Moorhead Planetarium and Science Center front entry plaza, design approval for the Translational Research Building, Bernard Street chiller plant, disposition by easement to the Orange Water and Sewer Authority, and the University Affairs Committee request for discontinuation of centers, the Center for Urban and Regional Studies, McAllister Here Institute, and the UNC Blood Research Center. Having read the materials listed under the consent agenda, is there any item that needs to be removed to the discussion portion? And if not, I will entertain a motion to approve all of these items. Thank you, Secretary White, with a second from Trustee Patel. Any further discussion or debate? All those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. I'm now going to turn to a few remarks that I would like to give and want to recognize a special guest that we have here today. And I've been looking at him wondering why he isn't up here with us, because it's where he used to sit. Former member of this board and now the state auditor for North Carolina, Dave Bullock. Auditor Bullock, we want to just recognize you and thank you for being here. More about our former colleague in a minute, but first I'd like to relay a project that is especially near and dear to me, along with Trustees White and Dr. Jones, trying to raise the money for an endowed professorship in honor of longtime English professor Kimball King. Dr. King was a legendary teacher and friend to multiple generations of Tar Heels. Many second-generation students went through his class, as well as more than a few grandchildren of his former students. He taught from 1965 up through 2010, plus or minus, and continued to teach independent study classes past that. I only had 2 classes with him, but no doubt about it, he changed my life as only a great teacher can. And that's one of the things that is so special about this place and the effect that its faculty have on so many of us. English 95X, which I still remember because of the X, denoted it was a study of plays, mainly by British playwrights. I thought there's no way that I would enjoy this class, but a good friend of mine had recommended that I take it because he thought that I would appreciate Dr. King's great scholarship and the fact that he was such a compelling professor. And sure enough, he made the works of Tom Stopper, Joe Orton, and Samuel Beckett come to life as only he could. And I never realized way back then that having some familiarity with the theater of the absurd would one day come in so handy with my current capacity with the university. It was absolutely compelling in a way that so many of us that had him as a professor want to honor him, and I'm going to continue to work with the Vice Chancellor of Development and his team to raise the money to endow that professorship. So thank you very much for all your help on that, Mike Andreessen. Now, a few words from my friend, the auditor. We first met during our trustee orientation, and it was very memorable because we were in a flurry of meetings, and we all know what that's like in orientation, to be overwhelmed with all the things that the university does and how it does them. And we were getting a presentation from the then Vice Chancellor of Finance, and I was a little distracted and looking at my phone, and Dave Bullock said, "Did you just hear that there are actually 20-some different budgets for the university?" And I said, "No, that can't be right. I heard him say something like that, but there's no way that could be the case." And Dave started chuckling and said, "No, John, I'm pretty sure that's what he said. There's not a single consolidated all funds budget for the university." And with that, he turned to me and said, "And we're going to change that." And sure enough, Dave worked tirelessly with various members of the Board of Governors to help get that budget authority for this Board of Trustees. And in so doing, provided an invaluable service for this university. And we just had a presentation from Vice Chancellor Knuffman yesterday, and this is the 4th year of an all funds consolidated budget. Thanks to you, former Chair Dave Bullock. And I'm going to read a couple of resolutions here. And in addition to former trustee Bullock, I also want to acknowledge former trustee Brad Briner, who served so helpfully during his time on this board in winning their respective campaigns for state auditor and state treasurer. They've stepped away from their roles on this board, and we want to thank them for their dedication and service to Carolina and to the state of North Carolina. So with that, I have 2 resolutions. I'm going to read this one for Brad Briner first. Whereas Carolina alumnus Bradford B. Briner served as a member of the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill Board of Trustees for 1 year, and whereas Mr. Briner provided exceptional service to the state of North Carolina and made a lasting impact on the university through generous contributions of his time and resources, and whereas Mr. Briner has served and guided the university in a variety of ways, including as a member of the board's Budget, Finance, and Infrastructure Committee, Strategic Initiatives Committee, and Audit, Compliance, and Risk Management Committee. And whereas Mr. Briner was elected by the people of the state of North Carolina to the office of State Treasurer, and therefore will continue his commitment to public service to the state in that role. And now, therefore, let it be resolved that members of the Board of Trustees of the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill deeply thank Bradford B. Briner and express their great appreciation for his devoted service to this board, the university, and continued service to the state of North Carolina, which is why he is not here with us today, because he is serving the state in his new capacity as state treasurer. And we are going to have a gift for him that we will get to him. And now let me give the resolution for Mr. Bullock. Resolution of appreciation for David L. Bullock, Jr. Whereas Carolina alumnus David L. Bullock, Jr. served as a member of the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill Board of Trustees for 5 years, including 2 years as chair of the board. And whereas as chair of the board, Mr. Bullock established the university's Audit, Compliance, and Risk Management Committee, balanced the budget, and eliminated the university's operating deficit for the first time in many years. And whereas Mr. Bullock has also served the university through his exceptional leadership as chair of the Budget, Finance, and Infrastructure Committee, as well as a member of the University Affairs Committee and Audit, Compliance, and Risk Management Committee. And whereas Mr. Bullock made a lasting impact on the university as an advocate for free speech and a culture of civil and open inquiry through his support for the establishment of the School of Civic Life and Leadership. And whereas Mr. Bullock provided invaluable guidance and leadership to the university throughout the pandemic, serving as a thoughtful and valuable voice as the university facilitated multiple operational transitions throughout that time. And whereas Mr. Bullock was elected by the people of the state of North Carolina to the office of State Auditor, and therefore will continue his commitment to public service to the state in that role. And now, therefore, let it be resolved that the members of the Board of Trustees of the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill thank David L. Bullock and express their deep appreciation for his leadership and devoted service to this board, the university, and the state of North Carolina. Can I get a second? Second. Any discussion or debate? All those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? These motions carry. And now I'd like to invite former Chair Bullock to say a word or two with the guidance that we do need to be out by 12.
I'm a politician now, so it's really hard. Be careful giving a politician the mic. I am surprised that Jim Blaine actually voted in favor of the resolution. No, it's been the professional honor of my life to serve the university as a member of the Board of Trustees. And I can't thank everybody on this board enough for the support, love that you've given me, not only as a member of this board, as chair of the board, but in my folly or endeavor, however you want to look at it, to become North Carolina's auditor. So I look forward to serving you, the university, the members of the Board of Trustees, Chancellor Roberts, and the entire university community in our capacity at the auditor's office, where we are statutorily bound to do a financial audit of UNC-Chapel Hill and every other system school. And so we're going to endeavor to do that with great professionalism, timeliness, and effectiveness. So again, I can't thank you enough for the ride that we had that I had as a member of the Board of Trustees. Thank you.
Chairman, do I have your permission to speak for 2 minutes?
Please, Trustee
Yeah.
Kalapa.
Thank you, thank you. First of all, let me thank Mr. David Bullock to be here. Sir, don't leave. 1 minute, please. The reason I'm so proud that one of ours is now serving in the state. Yesterday, when I heard our students, this is what I want you to hear too. It has been bothering me too much when I said that there are students in our university that are going hungry because they don't have money to eat. Trust me, I have been there in Chicago, and I define definition of hungry is when you are hungry, you go to the fridge, open, there is food. Hunger is when you are really hungry and you don't have the money to eat. I have been there. That is why I was very disturbed. Number one university in the world, and our students, sir, some of them do not have money to eat here. And how can they study? We need your help. We want to somehow get the money to make sure every one of those students have facilities to eat or have enough food given by the university. We have to do that. My friend and fellow trustee Vinay said that in Michigan, in the university, they do that. But if we can afford money for all the till high school, free breakfast and free lunch, We should be able to do this in the #1 college in the world. God, I am now happy that I said this. Sir, I
Thank you.
could not really sleep well last night. Because the first time I heard that their children are here, not able to eat. First time, even though my 2 children studied here, I never knew that. Whatever little money I earn, I would have given some of that to this endeavor. So please, help us. Let us all do this so that our children never have to face hunger. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, trustee Kalapa. Yeah. And we heard a very compelling presentation from student body President Taylor yesterday about that very issue. And obviously we were all moved by it and appreciate your time in it. And I think that there is a great program that you are going to help advance. And I'm now going to call on you for your remarks. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair Pryor, and good morning. I really appreciated the opportunity to address the board regarding 2 critical campus initiatives. Following yesterday's presentation on food insecurity, I'm encouraged by the board's commitment to addressing this challenge through the Meal Swipe donation plan. Additionally, I wanted to highlight an exciting opportunity from the student government, the Clean Energy Case Competition. This event invites teams of 3 to 4 students to develop innovative solutions to real-world clean energy challenges with a $2,500 cash prize from Strata Clean Energy. The winning team will be honored at UNC's Clean Tech Summit, offering the students a platform to showcase their renewable energy expertise. Some other initiatives on student government's agenda this semester include bringing interfaith rooms across campuses and departments, hosting more food insecurity awareness events, hosting a lobbying 101 workshop, more professional development conferences, a financial literacy event, and an end-of-year gala. Thank you.
Thank you, President Taylor. And I'll now call on Chancellor Roberts for his remarks. Chancellor.
Thank you, Chair Pryor, and thank you everyone for being here. There was some uncertainty as to whether it would be under snow and ice again this week, and our facilities crews worked for several days to protect, pre-treat campus roads and walkways, which allowed for quicker and more efficient clearing. Earlier this month, over 150 members of grounds, housekeeping services, building facilities, and construction services teams reported to campus on a Saturday morning to clear parking lots, entrances, and walkways, making them accessible for our campus community. On top of clearing efforts, our facility services teams continue to respond to building emergencies like heating outages, leaks, and other critical issues across our campus. We may not get snow and ice events very often, but our facility services teams are always ready and capable to manage possible impacts to campus. And they coordinate closely with our emergency management and planning team for all preparation and response efforts. Given that they've spent a lot of time this month planning and preparing for winter weather, I just want to thank them for all the time I just want to take the time to thank them for all they do to keep our university running and safe. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chancellor. And as one who is around the campus a lot, I can't say enough things about the grounds crew either. Enough nice things. They are out there every morning early and doing the things that they do to make the campus look so pretty. And in my effort to move this meeting along in an expeditious fashion, I skipped over the graduate.
I have not concluded.
Oh, I'm sorry. Please continue, Chancellor.
I share your interest in an expeditious meeting. Just a few more things to say. We've kicked off a new semester. I'm looking forward to all of the opportunities and challenges it will inevitably bring. We continue to have strong application numbers. We are up by 10,000 first-year applications compared to last year. So for both resident and non-resident applications combined, that's a 15.3% increase. Additionally, 23% of our admissions applicants, 41% of our resident applicants opted into our new Choose NC pilot meaning that if their application is denied, we will send their application to one of 5 pilot schools participating elsewhere in the UNC system. And as part of our student success initiatives, we had a new student center go live on Connect Carolina to improve navigation. Just one of a series of updates to the university's student portal that will enhance the overall student experience. One of the many, many wonderful things about living in North Carolina is when you get to what is elsewhere in the country, the post-holiday letdown, and it gets dark and cold, and you've got a stretch of winter ahead. In North Carolina, that's the kickoff to the heart of the ACC basketball season, as it has been for over 70 years. Our number 14 women's team plays Wake Forest tonight in Carmichael Arena. Our men's team plays Boston College on Saturday in the Smith Center. As always, I encourage everyone to come out and support the Tar Heels. You might have heard that we've hired a new football coach. Coach Belichick is a legend and one of the greatest football coaches of all time. He's a leader who understands and can teach the game better than anyone. We've entered a new era of college football, and Coach Belichick is the right person to lead our team as we navigate this exciting and novel time. We're thrilled to welcome him to Chapel Hill. Soccer player Kate Fossey just won the Herman Trophy, awarded to the single best player in college soccer. Women's tennis is ranked number 6, wrestling number 19 nationally. Athletics is off to a great start this semester. Over the weekend, I joined campus and community members for the 40th annual MLK Junior Celebration. Ahead of that event, I spent some time reading old Daily Tar Heel articles about Dr. King's visit to campus here in May of 1960. We'll continue to work hard to build a community where all feel welcomed and valued, looking to Dr. King's example and words of wisdom. Since our last meeting, national research rankings were announced. We now rank number 9 overall, up from number 12 among all national research institutions. For some context, being in the top 10 places us near peers like University of Wisconsin-Madison, UCLA, University of Michigan, University of Washington, and puts us ahead of schools like Duke, the University of Texas at Austin, Pitt, and Berkeley. We've grown research activity by 190 million, now totaling 1.55 billion in research funding. That translates to greater impact for our state, from providing tailored healthcare treatments to improving our understanding of the environment to building more resilient communities. We've also entered a new legislative session, and we have a new Congress, as discussed yesterday, with Representative Fox as chair of the House Rules Committee. As always, we're eager to continue working with our representatives to support the critical work of our university and the entire UNC system. Governor Josh Stein has been at most home basketball games since his inauguration at the beginning of January, cheering on the Tar Heels. We're eager to work with him and his administration. I joined our School of Government on Tuesday for their new legislative member orientation, something they have been doing for 60 years. Grateful to our entire legislative affairs team led by Chris McClure for serving as the face of the university to our federal, state, and local government. Their work is critical to ensuring that we are engaging in strategic and targeted communications efforts and maintaining a positive working relationship with policymakers at all levels. Lastly, I want to provide an update for this group on 2 upcoming leadership searches. We announced last week that Charles Marshall, who has served as Vice Chancellor and General Counsel since 2019, will be leaving the university later this month to return to private practice. He has led the Office of University Counsel through significant change over the past 5 years and has been an instrumental advisor both to me and my predecessor. Cameron Farwell, Vice Chancellor of Communications, will also be leaving the university. Cameron has provided important leadership to the Communications Division since 2022, and she has agreed to stay on to help launch Carolina's inaugural central marketing effort. I want to thank both Charles and Cameron for their service to the university and wish them well in their next endeavors. These positions are both critical to our mission, and we are dedicated to finding the best candidates for these important recruitment needs. The search committees will be chaired by Christy Hurt for the general counsel position and Don Bear, Carolina alum and public relations professional, for the communications position. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have, and will certainly keep the board apprised of progress on those searches. Thank you very much, and go Heels.
Sir, you done?
I am.
Okay.
You just have to wait for the go Heels. That's the signal.
I'd now like to call on the graduate student, President Katie Heath, please.
Good morning, everyone. I come with a gift of some paper to start off today. I had a battle with a stapler this morning and I did not win, so I apologize for those not being stapled. Good morning, everyone. As always, it's a pleasure to be up here to speak in front of all of you today. I wanted today to bring a little bit of information and discussion about graduate student workers. So as graduate students, we often ride this very confusing line between, are we students? Are we employees? And we are both, but sometimes it's unclear, when we are under sort of which heading, right? You have some students who are taking a full course load, full-time in classes, but at the same time will be teaching a class themselves. Or a student who is employed as a research assistant doing research assistantship work in their lab, but at the same time making progress towards their research degree. And so it can be really confusing for us to sometimes determine where do we go to get help and where do we get answers to certain surprisingly common questions. So this document that I've just given you all is the copy of the Graduate Professional Student Bill of Rights that the Graduate Senate passed last year. This was a collaboration between a lot of different graduate students, but also the graduate school. We had a lot of time where we had the opportunity to kind of meet with the graduate school and figure out where are the kind of the places that we see that for example, the Graduate Student Handbook, which does a great job of defining the role and responsibility of graduate students at UNC, but where there's some holes that we might be able to fill. So this document is really meant to set a standard for what we think the culture for graduate students should be around research, around teaching, and just the graduate student experience. And like I said, I think this is meant to be, a companion to the Graduate Student Handbook, and certainly not certainly something that will go along with it that students can use as a tool. So there's a lot of things in this document that I think are very much already unspoken expectations that I think we would all very much easily agree on. Often one of the challenges is that there are sometimes not super clear policies, and the communication on what the policies are for graduate students can be very challenging to reach everybody. So an example is we don't have a clear policy right now for doing personal work for an advisor. So for example, an advisor going to ask their student to go pick up their laundry or babysit their kids, right? We don't have a clear policy on that. Another example is wellness days. The Graduate Senate passed a resolution last month specifically asking for some guidance on what does a graduate student do on a wellness day and what does that mean? So many of these issues I think that are brought up in this document are being addressed in the Graduate Student Experience Initiative, which I think I have mentioned at least once before. And so this initiative is held within the graduate school. It has over 100 staff, faculty, and students that make up the different subcommittees. And this group is really committed specifically to improving the lives of graduate students through various policymaking and research. So they have been tackling quite a few things here. A couple I'll highlight is one, working on a policy for a standard for student contracts. It's sort of a contract between a student and their research advisor, and individual development plans, which would be a standard way to track the progress that a graduate student is making in their degree. These things now are sort of, some units have them, some schools don't, and we are hoping to have something a little more standard to help give resources to the schools so that they can help support these students. One other thing is that this group actually created a survey last semester that I'm excited to share with you soon that is surveying doctoral working conditions to help us get a better idea of the landscape of our student experiences. The results from that survey are being analyzed right now, but they had over 30% response rate from doctoral students on that, and I am really excited to see what's going to come from that survey. So hopefully I'll have more information to share on that soon. So since drafting this document last spring, so it's been around for about a year now, we've made some really good strides towards some of these things. One being dental insurance, which I think I've mentioned a couple of times is amazing that we have been able to make that happen for graduate students and is a huge resource. And additionally, we had a university-wide TA training that we held over the summer that was held by the graduate school, which helps provide a standardized TA training opportunity for graduate students that may need a little bit more than what they're currently getting. So this document, I definitely won't go through the whole thing because it's fairly long, but it is going to be voted on by a student referendum in February. And this will make it a sort of like a living government document within GPSG. But we're also, myself and one of my colleagues is planning to bring this and introduce the concept to Faculty Council tomorrow as well, because faculty really are our partners in this. A lot of the things we're talking about here are adjustments to the working culture here, right? And faculty, are the easiest path for us to make some of those changes. So I'm really excited about this. This has been a little bit of my baby for the past year or so. So I wanted to make sure that you all had a copy of the version that's going to be going up for a vote. And hopefully I'll have more details about how that vote goes at the end of the month.
Great. Thank you very much, Katie.
I have one short other little thing.
Please let's wrap it up.
Sure. I have, I just had a couple of side notes on a couple of events going on I wanted to share. One being we have a grad student wellness festival that's coming up next month that is specifically designed as a day of relaxation, rejuvenation, and community for graduate students. And we're really excited to see our students on February 11th for that. And additionally, we've had a partnership with the graduate school and with the Program for Public Discourse to start a new event. We're calling it, we think Dinner and Discourse is the name of it. And it is an event where graduate students can come and discuss complex and timely topics and engage in civil discourse in a group setting. And we're going to provide dinner. So we're looking forward to that next month as well. And lastly, I just wanted to take a moment to thank Chancellor Roberts for joining us at our last GPSG meeting in December. I unfortunately had my oral preliminary exams that week and wasn't able to be there in person, but I know that type of communication and feedback from students is always really appreciated. So I just wanted to thank you for that. Awesome. Thank you all so much. Are there any questions? Anything?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'll now recognize Trustee Patel to give the report of the Audit, Compliance, and Risk Management Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chairman Pryor, Board of Trustee members. This report covers items discussed during the meeting of the Committee on Audit, Compliance, and Risk Management yesterday, January the 22nd. The committee reviewed and approved the minutes of the November 6, 2024 meeting. The committee also heard an update from Dean Weber on the fiscal year 2025 internal audit work plan. Finally, the committee heard an update on information technology security from Dr. Mike Barker, Vice Chancellor of Information Technology and Chief Information Officer, and Paul Rivers, Assistant Vice Chancellor for Information Security and Chief Information Security Officer. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This concludes my remarks.
Thank you, Trustee Patel. And I'll now recognize Trustee Cotis to give the report of the Budget, Finance, and Infrastructure Committee.
This report covers items discussed during the Committee on Budget, Finance, and Infrastructure meeting yesterday, January 22nd. The committee reviewed and approved the open session minutes of November 6, 2024. The committee also considered 2 requests for advanced spending, 5 designer selections, 2 design requests, and 1 disposition by easement. These items were approved by the board as part of its consent agenda this morning. Detailed information about each request is available on Onboard. Finally, the committee heard an informative presentation from Vice Chancellor Knuffman on the annual comprehensive financial report and a budget update. A reminder to the various trustees to send me your budget information request, and we will tackle those this month and be prepared to discuss that in further detail in March. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This concludes my remarks.
Thank you, trustee Codis. I'll now recognize trustee White to give the report of the External Relations Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chairman Pryor and Board of Trustees members, this report covers items discussed during the meeting of the Committee on External Relations yesterday, January 22nd. The committee reviewed and approved the minutes of the November 6th meeting. The committee approved a proposed appointment to the WUNC Board of Directors. That appointment requires our approval now. Do I hear a motion to approve the appointment of Nancy Bailey to the WUNC Board of Directors? Thank you, trustee Meekins. Do I have a second? Thank you, trustee Codis. Any discussion or debate? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
The motion carries. The committee received a development update from Vice Chancellor for Development, Mike Andreessen. And the committee also received a legislative update from Amy McConkney, Director of State Affairs, and Kelly Dockham, Director of Federal Affairs. I'd also want to thank Kelly for the good work that she's been doing in DC to move our university forward. I recently had the pleasure to witness some of this work in December when Dr. Adkins, our Dean of Skill, was invited to speak to the U.S. House's Education Subcommittee. And I even got to meet Burgess Owens and wear the ring. So that was great. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This concludes my remarks.
Thank you, trustee White. I'll now entertain a motion to go into closed session. You want to read the motion? You've heard the motion. Do I have a second?
My apologies, Mr. Chairman. I now move that the board convene in closed session pursuant to North Carolina General Statute, Section 143-318-11A1 to prevent the disclosure of privileged or confidential information, and also pursuant to Section 143-318-11A2, A3, A5, A6, A7, and A9. Do I have a second?
You've heard the motion. Is there a second? Thank you, trustee Codis. Any discussion or debate? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We're now going into closed session. Thank you. Okay, if everybody please be seated. I'll now recognize trustee Jones for an open session report of the University Affairs Committee. Trustee Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chairman Pryor and Board of Trustees members, this report covers items discussed during the meeting of the Committee on University Affairs yesterday, January 22nd. In open session yesterday, the committee reviewed and approved the open and closed session minutes of November 6, 2024. The committee also considered and approved 3 requests for discontinuation of centers. These items were approved by the board as part of its consent agenda this morning. We also heard a presentation on food insecurity and support programs at UNC from Student Body President Julia Taylor and Dean of Students Desiree Rickenberg. The committee also heard from Chancellor Roberts on the university's priorities for 2025. In closed session, we discussed requested personnel action items, including 10 promotions conferring tenure and 4 new appointments conferring tenure. The conferrals of tenure, promotions, and appointments require our vote now. On behalf of the committee, I move that the Board of Trustees vote to approve the requested final personnel action items, including 10 promotions conferring tenure and 4 new appointments conferring tenure. Can I get a second? Second. Discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Passes. Finally, the committee considered and approved a petition regarding political activity. On behalf of the committee, I move that the Board of Trustees vote to approve the petition. May I get a second? Second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. The remaining non-final actions were approved by this board in closed session. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This concludes my remarks.
Thank you, Dr. Jones. The personnel matters voted on in open session will be made available online after this meeting. That concludes our business for today. If I can get a motion to adjourn. Thank you. Second, trustee Brian. All those in favor, please say aye. Please say aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Without objection, we're adjourned.